Google has just released the developer preview for Android 15, and here at 9 to 5 Google, we've been installing it on our devices and getting familiar with the changes. Personally, I've had it installed on my Pixel 8 Pro for about 24 hours now, and in this video, we're going to cover everything new with the current build while sharing some details on what you can expect as we move forward to a stable release. But first, to celebrate the start of our Android 15 coverage, we did want to share some custom wallpapers made by some of our teammates here at 9 to 5. We have two that we want to give away, one that has a minimal design with the new Android 15 logo, while the other has the Android mascot exploring space to keep with the ongoing theme we see in the new build. The Android 15 logo is attached to the pinned comment in the description, while the Android mascot, you guys are gonna have to earn by getting this video to 2,000 likes. That should be super easy for you guys, so check back in the future. If this video has at least 2,000 likes, you're gonna see both beautiful wallpapers in the pinned comment. Now that we got all that out of the way, let's get into the new changes with Android 15. Keep in mind this is a developer preview, so it's really meant for app developers to test things out and give feedback before the upcoming release, but I know Android enthusiasts will download it too just to check things out. Just be careful, as we have seen a handful of reports regarding bricked devices, so be very cautious. Also, it is important to note that while Android 14 was supported for the Pixel 4a and up, Android 15 will only cover the Pixel 6 and up, so officially the 4a, 5, and 5a will unfortunately not be getting any more major OS upgrades. With that said, this update can be divided into two major categories for now. One being high-level foundational changes, if you will, and two being the UI/feature updates. Starting with those high-level system updates, Android 15 includes the latest version of the Privacy Security Sandbox. For those unaware, this was introduced in Android 13 as a method to overhaul the way apps send advertisements to you by relying less on third-party data collection and more on APIs that share your interests on a broader level. Basically, it's storing your interests on device without saving specific browsing history, and ad companies can opt in to advertise to you based on that data. Android 15 also ships with the latest version of Health Connect, which was introduced in Android 14 as a way to unify all of your app data from most fitness apps like Whoop, MyFitnessPal, Fitbit, Samsung Health, and more, with the newest version now including a new suite of fitness and nutrition metrics. Google also mentioned screen recording on a per-app basis as a feature. I know we talked about it a lot if you've seen my past few beta videos, but the difference is it will now ship in Android 15 as a default feature. There are now going to be more developer options with third-party apps when it comes to camera hardware and their algorithms, which to me means it will finally solve that issue of Instagram and Snapchat photos looking worse when taken on Android devices as opposed to iOS. And the last system-wide change has to do with the way APIs interact with Android as a whole. In Android 15, Google will be offering an update to an existing performance framework that will let games and other performance-intensive apps interact more directly with the power and thermal systems of Android devices. Part of that includes a new power efficiency mode, the ability to adjust CPU and GPU frequencies together to best meet workload demands, and thermal headroom thresholds that should allow for less thermal throttling in apps using the framework. Now, I know that was a lot, trust me, but I'm sure actual developers out there are going to do great things with this. On the UI front, there were a handful of changes we can cover real quick as well, but keep in mind there aren't many for now. With Android 15, we did get a new feature in my opinion called Notification Cooldown, and you can find this in the Settings, then Notifications tab. In Android 15, it is enabled by default, and when active, it will gradually lower the volume of alert sounds you hear when getting back-to-back notifications, like during a hectic Slack conversation or group chat. Initially, the volume will play at a normal frequency and will progressively get quieter as the notifications pour in. After about a minute of no notifications, the volume will return back to normal. At this time, the only settings we have for this are all notifications, conversations only, or turn off the function entirely, and I hope in the future we get a way to use this on a per-app basis instead, as that would probably be a lot more helpful. On a more minor level, there is now haptic feedback when using the brightness slider from the quick settings menu. Right now, it's pretty subtle and only noticeable once you max out the brightness, but I do like it and hope we see more attention to detail like this in future versions. Google has also implemented a setting to disable keyboard vibration, similar to a feature we see in Gboard. There is a new developer option called Show HDR/SDR ratio that will give the user feedback when accessing HDR content. Turning this on will show a ratio value in the top right corner, and if you want to play around with it, you can open a photo in full screen to trigger any changes. Otherwise, this is really meant for developers to see if their apps are displaying HDR content correctly. Last but not least, we of course have some small Android 15 representation throughout the OS with the vanilla ice cream code name in the notification shade, and the Android 15 logo now shows within the Easter egg that seems to pay homage to a canceled NASA project in 2010 called the Ares program. Just a fun piece of insight, nothing crazy. And guys, I know that was a lot, but that's pretty much everything new with Android 15, at least for now. If we take a look at the timeline published by Google, it looks like the next developer preview should be sometime in March, with betas happening between April and July, with a final release undetermined, but maybe in October with the release of the new Pixels, or just sometime within the fall season. If you are on Android 14 QPR3, Google does say now would be a good time to upgrade to Android 15, since the Android 14 build will be technically more up to date, which will prevent you from upgrading without wiping your data. If you did want to try Android 15 for yourself, we do have a link in the description if you wanted to get started, but personally, I really would advise against it, since 1, there really isn't much new, 2, it's primarily a developer-focused build, and 3, can break devices in some instances, so if you can wait for the official public beta, I would. With all that in mind, guys, let me know what you think of the Android 15 developer preview so far. I know it's pretty bare bones at the moment, but what do you think of the changes that we have at the moment, and are there any features you're hoping to see in future builds? Dave Burke, currently the Vice President of Engineering for Android, did post a tweet saying that there is lots more to come, so I'm expecting some more surprises down the road, but let me know what you think in the comments below. In the meantime, guys, I'm getting out of here. This has been Jordan Floyd with 9to5 Google. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.